Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today for this video I'm going to be doing really like a story time, but it's not like really a story time, but it is kind of a story time. I'm going to be telling you guys like my experience with COVID-19 and the whole coronavirus. Issue. But before we get into this video, make sure you guys follow my social medias down below so you guys can keep up with me and see more of me when I'm not posting on YouTube, and DM me and tell me to post more on YouTube so I can post more on YouTube.
I say I want to experience things, but I don't think you actually want to experience things because you would experience it if you wanted to experience things. I don't know what you're talking about.
To start it off, if you guys, I feel like you guys do know. If you don't know, I attend college at Old Dominion and my parents live in Korea. I live in Korea. So being in the States, I was never able to like really go home for like Thanksgiving, Christmas, fall break. Like every time like we had those little breaks, we had the hurricane scare, like I wasn't able to go home. Literally March 5th was my birthday. March 6th we went on spring break, and literally like March 8th, March 9th, coronavirus got out of control. Schools were being shut down. We was all being kicked off of campus. It was crazy. I leave for spring break. I go to Charlotte. And then ODU was emailing and they was like, yo, like, all the campuses are shutting down. We finna like move to online classes, but like, y'all come back on campus. And my parents were like literally not having it. They were like, you're not going back. And I was like, I'm going back. And they're like, you're not going back. And I was like, what y'all gonna do? Y'all in Korea. I'm not going back. Then ODU emailed us again. They're like, yo, like, don't come back to campus unless like you really have to. So I was blown. I was like, bro, like, how y'all not gonna even let me enjoy my second semester of freshman year? Like, so I ended up going to Fayetteville. I went from Charlotte to Fayetteville. Fayetteville was like normally like where I go when I didn't have a place to go like for Christmas, Thanksgiving or whatever. So I always go to Fayetteville. I used to live in Fayetteville. Every time I talk about Fayetteville on my Twitter, somebody DM me talking about something, you from Fayetteville? I'm just like, yo, like, anyways. So I went to Fayetteville. My godmother was in Fayetteville, so I'm staying with her. And ODU's like, look, like, if y'all can't go home, like, just let us know, we'll let you stay on campus. So like me and my friends, like, we're planning to like go back to campus, just to stay on campus and just like do hood rat stuff with each other, because why not? My parents was like, no. My other friends' parents were like, no. So we was all mad. We was all mad. Like, we was all like, so OD was like, all right, come back, pack up your stuff, it's time to go. Like, we didn't even get to see each other before we left. Like, so I go and I pack all my stuff, and then my parents are like super skeptical about like even letting me go back to campus, letting me go outside, letting me breathe the coronavirus air, because I have asthma and like really bad allergies. If you can't tell, my nose is so stuffed right now, and it's because I'm back in Korea with this air quality. So they're like, yeah, like you're at high risk for coronavirus, like you don't need to go anywhere. So I'm staying with my godmom for like weeks upon weeks. I'm just like, yo, like, I'm trying to go, like I don't want to be here no more. So my parents are trying to like get me back to Korea. Mind you, coronavirus literally started in Asia. Korea has a large case of coronavirus. I had been knowing about coronavirus since November because my parents have been dealing with coronavirus in Korea since November. Korea's like, we don't want no Americans coming in. Like, this thing is spreading too fast in the US. We don't want nobody coming in Korea. Like, they need to stay where they at. And the military was like, these are their kids, like you have to let them in. So Korea's like, okay, like we gonna let them in, but under certain circumstances. So I get ready to leave to come back home, and I'm packing like all my stuff. I'm like psyched. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna be able to start filming again. Like, I don't want to be here no more. I get my ticket. I fly from Fayetteville to Atlanta. label to Atlanta, the people on the plane don't even check us, don't look at us, no type of way. You get on the plane with their masks. I have my gloves on. I have my Lysol wipes. I'm on plane. I'm not catching corona. I get on the plane, my first plane. I was so nervous during this flight the whole time. If y'all know, y'all don't know, I have really bad flight anxiety after my plane crashed in Guam. If you watch my Guam, not crashed, it almost crashed. If you watch my Guam vlogs, like from like last year around April, I literally talk about how my plane almost crashed when I was arriving to Guam. But yeah, that has like shaken me up and gave me really bad flight anxiety to where I have to take medication before I get on a plane. I get to the Atlanta airport. The Atlanta airport is dead. If you've ever been to the Atlanta airport, you know the thing is always live. That airport was dead. No restaurants were open. Nothing was open. I couldn't even eat. I was so exhausted. I had been up for, I think, 24 hours, no sleep at that point. And then I still had 14 more hours to fly on a plane. I get to the airport and I'm sitting in the area to go to Korea, and like I have a 6-hour delay, so I'm there before like everybody, and then like a whole bunch of Koreans like start coming in the area and we're all waiting to get on the flight. So then the people call my name, like they're literally calling every passenger with like an American name. So like if your name was like Karen Anderson, your name was being called. They called me over this last week and they're like, Rebecca Wilson, can you please come up to the desk? I'm like, sure. And she's like, what's your reasoning for going to Korea? Do you know there's a travel ban right now? And I'm like, yeah, I live there. And that bitch was looking at me like, you live in Korea? And I was like, yes. And she was like, do you have somewhere to stay? And I was like, yes, I have a house. I live in Korea. And she's like, do you like have citizenship? Can I see your Korean citizenship? Because I have to see your citizenship before you get on the plane. And I'm like, yeah. And I have a Korean little stamp in my passport that says I'm legal in Korea. Well, not a citizen. I'm like, I guess it's like, you know how like when people come to the US, like they have like a visa. Like I guess I have a Korean visa. Like it literally says I'm legal. I live in Korea. Yada yada poo. So I show her and she's like, okay. So she lets me on the plane and like all the Koreans are looking at me like, what the fuck is you doing here, little girl? If you've ever flown to another country, I have flown to many, so I'm used to like the little card that they give you, and literally like you have to write down all your information, your citizenship, if you live there or not, like your occupation, all a bunch of stuff like that. So I put it down and I put like my address and citizenship, and the lady's like the airline attendant, she's like, not the same lady, but like the lady that's like on the flight. This is like when we're about to like land. She's like, is this a real address? And I was like, yes. And she was like, why are you coming to Korea? And I was like, I live here. And she was like, so this is your address? And I'm like, yes. She's like, this is a hotel? And I was like, no, a house. And she was like, so you're not staying at a hotel? And I was like, no, I live in Korea. And she's like, oh, okay. So then I get off the plane and all like everybody's like staring at me, like literally. Like one thing about being in Korea, if you do not look Korean or Asian, they will literally stare at you like you're exotic. So everybody's like staring at me get off the plane. They're just looking at me like, this bitch, like what the fuck? Like there's a rule, like we're not letting Americans in right now. I had a Korean expediter waiting for me. So this guy worked for the government. I think he works for the Korean government and he works with the US to like help with stuff like that. I don't know what he does. And he took me through all the places and I was with him. And I'd like be right behind him, and like we'd go through like customs or whatever, and they'd stop me and be like, no, you can't come in here. And he'd be like, whatever, in Korean, and then they'll let me through. I meet with like the US soldiers or whatever, and they're like, okay, you're gonna get taken to post and you're gonna take a coronavirus test and we're gonna screen you. And I was like, but I don't have the Rona. Oh, I forgot to mention, before I got on the plane from Atlanta to Korea, they were taking everybody's temperatures. Like they were not playing, like the Koreans are not playing like about this coronavirus. Like the US, I feel like, is the only country that's not taking it serious. Like Koreans were not playing, they're like temperature. So I forgot to mention that when I had met up with like the US people, he had said in the airport, he was like, just the heads up, the Americans aren't allowed to go into 7-Eleven, CU, GS25. Like those are like the Korean convenience stores. So like we weren't allowed in any of the restaurants in the airport or the little convenience stores. I get on the bus to come to where I live, which is on Post. I'm on the bus and like I'm literally on the bus for hours. Literally the drive from Incheon to Pyeongtaek is literally only supposed to be 1 hour, but I was literally on the bus for 3 hours. I got on the bus at 5 and I didn't arrive to Pyeongtaek until 8. We get there, we go on Post, we have to stop. We have to all get off the bus and we go in and they're asking us questions like how we traveled in the last 13-14 days, and they're like asking us like headache, fever, like if you've ever been screened for coronavirus. They ask you questions. I'm like, no, knowing I have like a really bad seasonal allergy, so like being back in Korea like literally like messed me up. So I'm sitting there and I'm trying like everything in my power like not to sniffle, not to like wipe my nose. I was trying not to like no types of symptoms. I wasn't trying to sniffle, wipe my nose with a tissue, nothing. But I already know that like I get really bad allergies whenever I'm in Korea. At the first tent, they take our temperature, ask us questions. We get back on the bus. We literally move 3 feet. We get off the bus into another tent, have to do the same thing all over again. They take down our DOD numbers, take our temperature, ask us if we have symptoms. And at this point, like, okay, like my throat's a little itchy. I don't want to or anything. So like nobody's like, this girl, get her. And like they tackle me and like lock me up. So I'm like, no symptoms, like no, knowing my nose is like irritating me, sinuses. So then they take us back on the bus, we drive some more, we get to the hospital. So there's 2 tents. So we go in the first tent, like you have to wash your hands outside the tent, like they have like these hand washing stations, hand sanitizer, gloves, a mask, and then we have to go through the whole thing, and we have to like sit in these seats, like 1 person, 2 seats, another person, 2 seats, another person. So they ask us questions, we take our temperature, and I'm exhausted at this point. I'm like, I'm so fucking tired, like I have not slept in forever, and like everybody's asking me like the same question, so like things starts to like get like I'm just looking at people like, we go and like literally like my parents were like saying like, don't say nothing crazy, like yeah, you got a headache or you got a fever, you've been feeling hot, or your nose is a little stuffy, because they will lock you up. So like I go there with that training and I'm like, nope, no symptoms. And like I really don't have symptoms, it's literally just my nose, because I came back to Korea. Like if you guys can hear me now, it's still my nose. We get to the second tent, everybody's sitting in the tent and everybody's looking nervous, and they're like, yeah, we're about to coronavirus test y'all. And I'm like, who said we was doing that? I'm nervous as hell, because I had a friend that already had came back to Korea, and she was like, yeah, the coronavirus test hurts, bitch. And I'm like, and if you guys know me, I have a low pain tolerance. Any of my friends can tell you I have a really low pain tolerance. Like, no, everybody's waiting, I'm nervous as hell, and the guy calls me back and I'm like, yo, like it's gonna hurt. He was like, yeah, I'm not gonna even lie to you, but all I need is like some stuff on this Q-tip, so I'm not gonna even like torture you, like just let me do it and let me do it quick. I'm like, okay, dog. And he's like, I'm sitting against the wall and he sticks the Q-tip on my nose. He starts ringing it around, and like my nose is burning, my eyes are watering, like I'm really about to cry, but it wasn't even that bad. And he was like, yeah, we'll have your results in like 1 to 2 days. And then they're like, but for now you guys have to get quarantined. They're like, since you have a house you can go home, but everybody in your house has to be quarantined. I was like, my parents have to work still, just take me to a place. So they literally take me to the barracks with a whole bunch of other soldiers, and they lock me away in this tower for 14 days. So we go into this like quarantine place, and literally when I got there, my parents already had stuff waiting for me, like snacks, sodas and stuff. But I was like so sad because I'm like, I'm back home and I can't even see my parents. Like the last time I saw them was December. I'm in that room and like at first I'm like, yeah, this is like a college dorm. But then I forget, like in the college dorm, I can leave my college dorm and see my friends and do hood rat stuff in the dorm and like go get food and come back. Yeah, I couldn't do that there. So I was like, it's okay, like it's gonna be alright, I'm gonna film. But I noticed like as I was filming, like I was just like falling back into a depression. I do have adjustment disorder along with like depression. One of like my main triggers for my depression is adjusting to things that like I'm not really used to, and it's like drastic changes. So because I'm used to being in Korea and that's not a drastic change, but being in quarantine in Korea, knowing that like I have a home and that there's people here for me, and that like my parents will come to my window, and like knowing that I can see them and that they drive away, like that was hard for me to adjust to. So it was causing me to just be like super depressed. They would come every morning and they would ask me if I had any symptoms of corona, check my temperature, and one day like my temperature had spiked, like I had a fever, like out of nowhere. They had to keep monitoring me that whole day because they're like she just got a fever out of nowhere, she ain't been out of this room, like how she got coronavirus. Because my test I came back negative. My first test I came back negative. They bring me food 3 times a day, and then my parents are able to also bring me food, and my parents will also come to like my window and try to like talk to me for a little bit. And I had Wi-Fi, and they gave me like the room with the router in the box because I was doing online school in college. I did spend most of my days sleeping because I was freaking sad. And then like when I tried to film, it just wasn't going right because I was just so freaking sad. They came to the door and they would check my temperature, ask me if I was depressed or that I wanted to kill myself, or if I was having signs of like suicide, like if I was thinking about suicide or anything. And I was like, no. Like even though like I was depressed, I deal with depression like every day. I have my medication for it, I know how to cope. So like I wasn't like I'm just so depressed, because like there's literally nothing they can do. Like they can tell me I'm depressed and all they would give me is somebody to talk to. And like literally for me it's just like I want somebody to solve my problem. Like my problem is being locked in here, so I want to be let out, and like literally that couldn't happen, so I just had to stick it out. And then they'd ask you if you wanted to see a chaplain and like talk to somebody on certain holidays, because there was like I think a few holidays during like the quarantine. I think it was like Ramadan, so they asked me like, do I celebrate Ramadan? And I was like, nope. And they said okay. On like my 12th or 13th day, doctor came. I don't even think he was a doctor, but he came to give me a corona test. And this dude, he would like piss me off. I want to beat his ass in the quarantine facility. He comes and he's trying to coronavirus test me, and I'm like, yo, like this hurts, and like I'm nervous. And he's just like, look, like if you want to get out of here you need to take it. I'm like, no effing way, we already solved that mystery, Scooby-Doo. He's like, don't move. And I'm like, bro, like I'm gonna move, it hurts. If you've taken a coronavirus test, bro, you know a coronavirus test hurts and you're going to move. Like anything going up your nose from like past a certain point, like you're literally gonna flinch. He was like, I'm just gonna hold your head. And I was like, please don't hold my head, like don't do that. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to, it's just gonna be quick. And I was like, don't hold my head. And it wasn't quick at all. Like he literally stuck this thing, like literally I want y'all to know how long the coronavirus testing is. So it's like literally longer than this. It's like about this much long. You see the silver piece? This is like the red stopper to like where they like literally stop. And the test is about like this long. So they literally stick it all the way up here. Like he sticks that thing so far on my nose. Like this time, I don't know if like he stuck it past the red mark. I'm pretty sure he did. But bro, like my nose, like literally, like I felt like a pop in my nose. Like I literally had like a headache for the rest of the day. Like I was bawling after coronavirus test. He was like, do you need anything? And I was like, no. And I closed like the door. It ended up coming back negative, and they said I could go home and I was free out of quarantine. This is literally my experience with like being quarantined by a facility and not like self-quarantine. Fortunately, I did not have coronavirus. I thank God every day that like I was able to travel from the States all the way here without catching the coronavirus. Thank you guys for watching my video. I hope you guys liked it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and follow my social media down below so you can see more of me and figure out where I'm moving next, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to get coronavirus tested twice again. Coming soon. I love you guys so much. Peace out, scared dudes.
Oh baby, how you doing? You know I'm gonna come right to the